Hi there, I'm Mark, CEO and co-founder of Fabby, and welcome to our platform. In this short video, I'm going to show you how to get started and some of the core concepts to make sure that you hit the ground running. So first of all, Fabby is an AI data analysis platform, and it's a platform really designed to supercharge data practitioners. So for example, in medium to larger enterprise companies, we help data science teams and data analyst teams handle more requests, build dashboards, and build workflows. In smaller companies, we either assist if there's like a solo data scientist or data analyst, or maybe data engineer, we assist them and help them be more productive. And we're also used by other semi-technical individuals like CTOs, VPs of engineering, or maybe even product managers. So the whole in this series of videos, we're going to show you how to maximize your use of Fabby to again build interactive reports incredibly fast, incredibly easily, and share those with your stakeholders, or build workflows to push data to different sources to meet your stakeholders where they are. And this is maybe an example of what you could build in Fabby. So here we're looking at it's a report. It's looking at some NBA player data, relatively simple data, but illustrates everything you can do with Fabby. So I can build a report here that shows me the data that we've extracted from our database. I have this chart here that's interactive. So for example, if our NBA players were scored according to certain dimensions like assists, shooting efficiency, net rating, we have this dynamic filter in here where I can let's see if we can find a user here, or sorry, a player. Uh, there we go. So there we go. So we have this dynamic chart that we can update. So we can create these dashboards, can create really advanced visualization because it's all powered by Python. And since there's also Python behind the scenes, you can do things like using machine learning or stats or data science directly in your dashboard. So here, for example, we're looking at the average points scored for players who play more than 5 seasons versus their defensive rebound percentage. And we've done some basic stats here to identify the outliers and highlight those in red on this chart. So we'll get into how to build something like this in just a few videos, but you'll get there very quickly. Let's just start first with the basics. So starting with a fresh smartbook, when you first log into Fabby, you can either connect your data source or upload a file, or you can start with a blank smartbook. Highly recommend that you start with either uploading a file with your own data. Feel free to sanitize it, of course. But you can also connect your data source, which is what we recommend in general, because you can just work with your data directly there. And you're already familiar with your data. So that means you'll just get up and running a lot faster rather than trying to understand some demo data. If you want to connect your data source, you can just do it directly from the login screen. You can also come in here on the left-hand side. So just to orient you, we have our schema browser here on the left, which will include all the data that's in scope. And this is also where you can add new data sources. So just click on Add New Data Source. You can select whatever data source you want. We're always happy to add more as well. It's very easy for us to do. Say we want to add Mother Duck, select Mother Duck, and put your database name, put in your token there, and then hit Submit, and you're off to the races. You can also upload a file if you want, as I said. So if I click here, you can simply select a file. It can be CSV, JSON, Excel, even Parquet files. And that works just as well. You can click directly here. In this demo, we're going to just start off by querying some data from our BigQuery data warehouse. So here I can see our data warehouse, and if I search, I have a table, I should say, that contains player stats. I can preview this real quick just to make sure it has what I want. This looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and close this. Let's copy that name there, and let's start querying our data. So here I can create a SQL cell. So these are cells. They're kind of like your building blocks for your analysis. And typically analysis will start with a SQL cell or uploading a file so you can start pulling in your data. So let's do that. Go ahead and hide this now. So I can run this. You can also use keyboard shortcuts if you want to run it. This will extract the data, and it will store it in a temporary cache using DuckDB behind the scenes, which also means that we're not going to be hitting your database or data warehouse unnecessarily to which will help limit your compute costs, but also improve the overall performance. Now, once your data is pulled into the SmartBook, you can now leverage the data that's stored as a Python data frame. In this case, it's data frame 1. So all our player stats for the NBA by player by season are stored in data frame 1. Now from here, I can either query this data in a subsequent SQL cell, so I can start chaining cells, or I can also query this data in Python. So here, just to show you an example, if I click on Python, I can simply print data frame 1. Let's do head 10. Oops, there we go. Okay, so you can see here that this data frame 1 is not being passed down here. So this is really convenient because now you can start using all sorts of tools to analyze this data that we've queried from our data source. We can, for example, go in here on the right-hand side and ask the AI to create, for example, a plot to show us the average point score for players versus their defensive rebound percentage. So I can say, compute the average stats for each player and plot the average points scored versus defensive rebound percentage for each player. So now on the right-hand side, we're working with our AI. Our AI is fully agentic, meaning that we'll start with the planning phase here, as you can see. So let's scroll back up real quick. It will first plan out the analysis, and it will consider both the data in your data warehouse or the files that you've uploaded, as well as the tables and data frames that you've already created in your SmartBook. So when you're starting fresh, for example, you may not have any data, and the AI will know to kind of go and tap into the data sources that you've made available to it. But once you've sort of, once you deepen your analysis and you've maybe created a number of data frames, it will start by actually looking at those data frames because chances are what you're asking has to do with that. So our agent is really smart and understands the context. And here you can see that the AI, according to the plan, was going to use Python to group the data, and that's going to create a scatter plot using Plotly, and then it will verify the code, make sure the code runs. You can see here in the code that it's using data frame 1, which is the data frame that's outputted here. And then if this code is running successfully, which it is, it will tell me what to do. In this case, it's telling me to add it to the SmartBook. So I can just hit add to SmartBook here. And just like that, I have my scatter plot now that's leveraging data frame 1. Now, again, if I go and now if I go and this is all fully reactive as well. So if I go and change the SQL cell up here or a cell that's upstream from this Python cell, it will actually also update the cell down below. So let's go ahead and ask the AI to in SQL cell 1, I'm going to go ahead and tag that cell. Please only filter on players drafted after, let's say, 2010. Okay, so it's updating the query. Now in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and, oh, there's actually an error. And that's because there are some players that were marked as undrafted. So it's actually filtering this out. So perfect. So once it's done that, it's try checking one more time. It's telling me to replace this in SQL Cell 1. I can obviously copy and paste the code if I want, but I can also hit apply to cell if I have this cell selected. I can see the before and after. I can see how it's modifying the code. This is also a great way to learn SQL and Python. I can hit accept and run. It's going to update my data here, and then it's going to update the subsequent data down here as well. So those are really just the core concepts. From here, we're going to be able to go and build a report. We can resize this, rearrange it. We're going to be able to add filters, schedule this, and we'll touch all of that in a follow-up video.